The fall of 2017 has truly blown me away with all the new series and continuations of this season. If you don't know what this video is about, I give my final thoughts and reviews of all the animes I have watched this season as spoiler free as possible. And if you haven't watched my previous video, click the link in the description below. Also, yet again, I will not be talking about any anime that will continue airing in the next season, so let's get started. Starting off with the summer leftover, we are welcome to the Ballroom. The moment I read about this anime made me think, would an anime about ballroom dancing really be interesting? And surprisingly, I was thoroughly enjoyed by the journey I had watching it. Now, I could be like everyone else and talk about how it's giraffes dancing in tuxedos. However, I think having the body parts stretch out like that portrays a really interesting type of motion in the dances. And moving on to the main character, we have Fujita Tatsuro. At the beginning, he had no idea what he wanted to do in the future. Then being introduced to ballroom dancing, he discovers that this is his passion and is just having the time of his life. As we progress in the second arc of the series, the mood of the story changes from having fun to why did you choose ballroom dancing and why is this your passion? This really pushes Tatsuro to show what he's really made out of, and to prove that he can make it to the starting line with all the other greats. This gave us great characterization and development for Tatsuro, so in the end I highly recommend you all to give this show a shot. Recovery of an MMO Junkie tells the story of Morika Moriko, a 30-year-old woman who is self-proclaimed as an elite NEET. And throughout the story, we learn that she devaluates herself and thinks that she's just a loser. The only thing that makes her forget about the real world is video games. This aspect of her is very relatable to me and to probably all the other gamers out there in the world. A small thing I want to say that is a little off topic is that there were so many funny gaming moments in the anime where I said, I've done that before, or my friends do that. And just seeing that puts a smile on my face. Now moving on to the recovery part of the anime, surprisingly, it's about romance. All the interactions with the love interests were really adorable, seeing both of them have very similar personalities. Another thing that really impressed me about this series is that the love interest was actually smart. He could piece things together, and you have no idea how many animes I've seen where there was so many dense characters. So if you want a very uplifting romance and comedy, go watch this anime. Inuyashiki had probably one of the most interesting first episodes I've seen in a while. Now I do have to warn everyone here that there's a good amount of CGI in the series, but it doesn't take away of how amazing the series is. So we follow our main character, Inuyashiki, quickly learning how sad his life is, making everyone have an emotional connection between them because we want his life to get better. But then, BAM! He gets killed by an alien spaceship and then was brought back as a robot. Now you're probably thinking, what the fuck? But honestly, the only reason this happens is to start up the real show. So now we have someone who is made out of alien technology, getting to learn all the amazing things he can do with it. However, when Inuyashiki learns he isn't human anymore, he tries to figure out if he's still himself. So throughout the story, we see Inuyashiki saving people, and doing this makes him feel alive and like a human again. And obviously this is not the entire series, we have a villain. Our villain was another person who was killed by the alien spaceship. He's batshit crazy. And that's my favorite type of villain. So within the story, we have two total opposites using the bodies however they want, and it teaches a lesson that it's not the weapon that's deadly, it's the user. This anime put me in such a roller coaster of emotion, so I highly recommend you all to watch it. Holy shit guys, Food Wars is back. This is one of my favorite anime series of all time. For anyone who doesn't know, I love cooking, so Food Wars has a very special place in my heart. I was so excited to have another amazing season of seeing the most mouth-watering food I could ever imagine. So we got introduced to all the other Elite 10 members, and they really showed us the huge gap between Soma and them. So this got me really excited to see what Soma can dish out this season, but then all of a sudden the theme of the series changed into political stuff. I'm talking like Game of Thrones type of shit. The whole overall plan for a villain was to get rid of any individuality people had in their cooking, and only have what he calls perfect. So within the series becomes a battle to keep the diversity. I just loved every episode of this season, and luckily this spring season 4 will be aired. First things first, I have not watched the original version of Kino's Journey. However, this version of Kino's Journey is actually just a reboot, so if you haven't watched the original, you can still watch this one. Now, I have to say this series is very episodic. However, it works really well in their favor because we follow Kino's travel across the land, moving on to a different country every single episode. Every country we see throughout the story has been very different, having different laws and the way people act and interpret things. It's almost like we're going into a different planet. I really enjoyed all these different countries because of all the diversity of personalities and beliefs. And to them, they may seem normal, but to the audience, they're totally crazy. This scenario really reminds me about the plateaus allegory, which basically means that if you were raised to accept these notations throughout your whole life, then anything that doesn't follow these notations is considered crazy or weird. So, is this version of Kino's journeys worth watching? I say yes, but I will definitely check out the original show now. Konohana Kitan is just a really nice and cute slice of life anime. I mean, just look at these fox girls. They're adorable. The series also has a very relaxing soundtrack to go with it. Just listen to this. How peaceful. The main plot of the story is we follow the life of Yuzuru, a new employee to this hot spring inn, which is in a fantasy world based off of ancient Japanese culture. The series itself is very episodic, focusing on a new guest every single episode, also teaching us a small life lesson every time. However, throughout the series, we do see a very lovely story of Yuzuru making amazing new friends and learning how important they are to her. This is just one of those animes where you just sit back, relax, and just have a smile on your face. Juuni Taisen was just an okay series for a lot of people this season. Now, if you have no idea what the series is about, it's basically like the Hunger Games and the competitors are based off of the Chinese zodiac. At the beginning, I saw a lot of potential in the series because the writer of the manga is also the writer for the Monogatari series. However, as the weeks progressed, the quality of the series was slowly dipping, with very predictable episodes, decreasing art and animation quality, and the same pattern almost every episode. But the final few episodes were quite enjoyable. They gave the audience a more emotional connections with the final few characters we had, and also giving a more in-depth view of what it was like to be in the mind of the winner, making us have more respect for the person, and I found it very interesting. So overall, you can watch the show if you want, or don't, I don't care. Girls Last Tour is one of those animes where it really follows the saying, never judge a book by its cover. And at first glimpse, you just see cute chibi girls doing cute things with each other. But if you take a few steps back and look at the whole picture, the series is a lot deeper than you thought. Just examining the setting is pretty dark in itself. The entire world is a total wasteland with almost zero humans roaming around. And from assumptions, war is the cause of all of it. Yet again, this is another series that is episodic. So every episode we follow the two girls traveling the world and discovering what the world was like before all this happened. What I find the most interesting is their reactions to things. They have zero reference to compare anything, so they question almost anything that's new. And by the end of the episode, they tell a very philosophical question, like what is God, or what is a house, or what is cheese? And it makes you really think, huh. So by the end of it, I really enjoyed all these things this series had to offer, so I want you to check it out. Let's move on to the series that I dropped in this season. Now there's not many of them and I don't have many opinions about them, so like in the last video, we're doing a lightning round. The first one I want to talk about is King's Game. When I read the synopsis, I saw a lot of potential for this series, but they totally fucked up the moment they started animating only the second arc of the manga and not the first. And all the characters were really stupid, and this series just made me really angry in the end. The next one I dropped was Just Because. Now, I have no real grudge against the series, it's just that the episode was boring in my sense. And I'm pretty sure other people enjoyed it, but I had so many other series I wanted to watch that I just dropped this series. So guys, these are all the series I've watched in the fall of 2017. If you think I missed anything, please leave a comment. And if you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want more content like this, please subscribe and continue loving anime.